Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to days of full-time streaming for the rest of this streaming week. Today, we jump back into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as we hit the next story thread of the game, which should be pretty exciting. And most people are probably way ahead of me now in the game, so there's no potential for spoilers on today's stream. We've also got Tekken coming back, a little bit of game news, a chill podcast, a good balance of stuff today. And of course, I'll talk about everything that went down yesterday as well. All this and more on today's Level 1 podcast. Good morning and welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, the 5th of March, 2024. I'm Darkside Phil, and I welcome you here to the show. I hope that everyone so far is having a nice, relaxing week without stress. If you're stressed out, well, hopefully hanging out here with me today will put a little bit of a dampening on your stress levels. And I'm in a good mood today, feeling positive, decent weather outside today. Everything going good. In fact, overnight, we had snow here in Washington State. It's March, and we're just getting snow. Like, we actually hadn't had any real snow this entire winter season, and we got some overnight. Not anything that stuck. Like, basically, you could see it on the lawn and on the trees, but it didn't really stick to the pavement or anything like that. But it was actually nice to just see it. Like, wow. So at least we got a taste of winter this year. A lot of the times we don't. And then sometimes it's crazy and we'll get a decent amount of snow, but it's very rare out here in Washington State where I live. So it was actually a very nice thing to see. So anyway, welcome everyone to a full day of streaming. Yesterday was only a half day for me. And the reason being was, number one, we returned to Baldur's Gate 3, which was really good. Those who love Baldur's Gate turned up in droves and had a really good time, and I'm glad because, you know, having that good time together is an awesome experience with the engagement that we get, people excited and, you know, helping me out with the game and to understand, you know, that I didn't run into something bad. I could have. If I didn't know that this supposed quest line called the Iron Throne was as annoying and difficult as it is, I probably would have rushed into it unprepared. So I'm glad that I'm holding off on doing it until a little bit later and doing the other content, which makes sense, I guess. But I did not do a late stream, and the reason being, March is usually the month where I have to take time off from streaming to do a lot of personal stuff, namely, you know, things like preparing my taxes and things like that, and it's a ton of work. You know, last night, to give you some perspective, I actually came into the office a little early. Usually for my late stream, I come in here around 6:30 p.m., spend some time with my wife after dinner, but I wanted to get as much done as humanly possible last night, so I was in here from 6 until about 10:30, and I'm not done yet. Like, basically, there's so much to do, so many things to... I have this spreadsheet that I use every year that plugs in all of my data when it comes to everything regarding the business, and there is just data everywhere that I have to pull, and it takes a lot of time, and it's reliant on basically where I'm pulling the data as well. So there's some years where things go smoothly, and other years where it just doesn't work. Namely, this year, I go to pull data from this place I've pulled every single year, and they change the whole thing. It's just a whole different interface. The reports that I'm trying to pull don't work right. And I'm like, what is this? So now, can I even do this? It's just a pain in the butt. All right, let me put it this way. When you own your own business, it's a dual-sided thing. It's very awesome, but also it's very annoying and stressful. The awesome part is that you're your own boss. You make your own schedule. You do your own thing. And essentially, you don't have to bend over to when people are yelling at you for not doing performance or whatever it may be. It's awesome to operate your own business. I've done that since 2011. And here we are in 2024, and I'm still very much enjoying doing that and being successful at it. At the same time, there's all these added stresses that you have to do. And when it comes to stuff like this, you know, this is just a tremendous amount of work. You got to be ultra careful with all of your calculations and everything. So anyway, that being said, I got a lot done, but I didn't finish. I'm close to finished, but not yet. And when it hit around almost 10:30 in this office last night, I was like, all right, I'm not going to finish it tonight. I got to get out of here. I don't want to be in here all night and spend no relaxing time with my wife. So basically, I called it quits. And I will definitely need to have a couple more days later this month off from streaming. I don't mean days, I mean like a session, like a night session. Because number one, I have to finish with that. And that's probably going to take another night. But also, private React videos for my patrons. So far, I owe 2. And I'm actually waiting to hear back from that particular patron on what they want me to react to. But also, I know that apparently later this month, I've been told someone's going to pledge to get 3. So at some point, I'm going to have to take a night off to film like 5 private React videos. There's no way I can wedge those in between streams because that's a ton of work. So when that happens, I'll let you all know. Likely what's going to end up happening is maybe every Monday night. That's what I'm thinking. Like maybe every Monday night, I'll just take off that Monday night stream in order to work on this stuff. And hopefully in like 3 weeks' time, it'll be done. Okay? So, notably, in regards to all of this, you know, recently, especially these last couple of months, I've been very, very busy. Not only am I doing my normal streaming schedule of gameplay content here on DSPGaming, but also, as you guys know, I've been working on the Throwback channel, and that entails watching back videos every single day to basically review them and then name them properly before they go live and go into a proper playlist. But also, now I'm doing the Retro React streams, right? And now I have to go to not 1, not 2, but 3 different channels every day, reviewing and approving comments, making sure that everything's working. And as I told you, recently I've been having technical issues too with YouTube. Luckily, none yesterday. When I uploaded all the videos yesterday, everything processed fine, no issues there. So maybe YouTube fixed their processing issue that we had talked about yesterday. But basically, I'm pulled in a bunch of directions, and I don't really have any free time because it's funny. You know, people have been recommending very useful things recently, like why don't you use some of the built-in audio filtering that's part of OBS, and you can maybe make your microphone sound a little better, you know, get rid of maybe some of the atmospheric noise. And I'm like, I would love to do that, but I don't have the time right now. You know, any free time I have is going towards this stuff. You know, I don't really have time to sit down and be like, oh, I have nothing to do tonight after my stream, so allow me to sit here for 2 extra hours and mess with these filters and test. You know, I just don't. I would like to. I absolutely would like to continuously keep improving this year. All of your feedback already has been a tremendous help. For example, the audio levels of my content is much better now. It's much louder than it used to be, almost like double the volume of what it used to be, and people are very happy about that because I used to be very, very low. Right? And now you can actually hear the videos. It's not like you have to turn your speakers all the way up when you're listening to my content, and then someone else's content comes on and it's loud as hell and you have to turn it back down. It's not like that anymore, so that's a good thing. So, I want to keep improving, but I apologize, I can't really work at the pace that a lot of people would like. Sure, right now I'd immediately like to get these improvements and other improvements right now, and you know, it's tough. I'm being pulled in all these different directions, all this stuff I have to do right now. Just to give you another piece of perspective, can you imagine right now, if while all this is going on and I'm so busy with everything, can you imagine if I had gone through with the documentary that I was talking about doing a couple months ago? I was supposed to start filming like right about now. So can you imagine me being in the middle of all these games that I'm already backlogged on, right? Working on these projects, the Throwback channel, and now telling you guys, oh, by the way, now I can't stream. This week, you know, it's going to be a half week, entire days away, and stuff like that. You know, so, I mean, I think, quite honestly, I dodged a big bullet there. And what I mean by that is not to say that working with a documentary with Mike Klum is a bullet, but I don't think that, honestly, with the situation I'm in my life, right, that I would have been able to handle that at all. It would have been overload. And again, as I've already reiterated previously, imagine if I was trying to do that. Now, the thing is, this is very important. You know, a documentary about me would have had to be done well. And basically, imagine if I'm just like at my wit's end, stressed out, overworked, and now it's going to end up not being that good, right? Because, you know, it's just as much Mike Klum working on a documentary as it is me. You know, I would be a major part of the input of this thing. Now, how am I going to be creative? How am I going to be entertaining? How am I going to be going around different filming locations and doing all this kind of stuff when I'm already exhausted to my wit's end, right? I just don't think it would have worked, being honest, especially my lifestyle with how much that I work and everything. Imagine if, like, these weeks, I was like, by the way, guys, 3 days this week I can't stream at all. The other 3 days, it's half days. Just because I'm, you know, filming all over the place. Oh, by the way, I also have to work on my taxes this month. Oh, by the way, we're in the midst of 300-hour games that I'm never going to finish, and there's more coming that I have to skip all of them now because I'm working on a documentary, right? See, I think the difference here is when you look at someone who can work on a documentary, I'm going to be honest, it's probably someone who just has a lot of time, that they're not particularly doing something too important with their time, that they have time to do that shit. I don't, right? Like, I'm just constant. Everywhere I go is work, got stuff going on here, busy with my personal life. You know, I got shit going on. Yeah, I don't have time to just drop everything and just be filming. So, honestly, I do think that I dodged a bullet there. And then on top of that, people are saying, I guess, that Mike Klum is now working on a documentary with this guy, EDP. Now, here's the thing. I know absolutely nothing about this guy. I've never followed him. I never watched his content. All I know is that he's infamously known on the internet that apparently he was caught out trying to meet with underage girls. I think that's what it is, right? I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But I think that that's the case, that, like, he was a YouTuber who was popular, and then at some point he got framed, essentially. Like, people were catfishing him so that he would show up to meet underage girls, and then come to find out it was just a frame job. Like, they totally set him up to expose him on the internet for who he really was. But apparently some people say, well, why did he not go to jail? And apparently it's because the way that he was set up, it's not admissible as evidence in court, right? Like technically, because they set him up like that, no crime was ever committed, so he never was held accountable for that behavior. But apparently he got totally canceled on the internet. He fell apart. He went from being a YouTuber who had a prominent channel and everything to basically, like, you know, done. And hey, again, that's all I know from what I've heard, word of mouth. I've never watched a documentary. I haven't done research for myself. That's all I know, okay? And can I be honest here? Because I will be honest with all of you, because people have been asking me about this for the past couple of days, okay? First documentary Mike Klum does is on Boogie. The entire documentary is about Boogie basically being a miserable human being. The sad, dark life of Boogie, right? But who made Boogie's life sad and dark? Right? Was it a group of people who just decided to, you know, ruin his life? No, his life is sad and dark because he is sad and dark. And when you watch that documentary, you see the things in it that, you know, he could improve, he could change for the better, and he just doesn't. He keeps engaging with trolls on social media. He keeps doing the awful life behaviors. He's a miserable wretch because of his own decisions and actions that don't change, correct? And I think what's supposed to happen is you watch it, you feel sorry for him, and it was supposed to turn his life around. Has it turned his life around? No, not at all. He's on a lol cow podcast. He freaking keeps doing this kind of almost degenerative content on the internet. He's not going to change. It's pretty obvious at this point, correct? So then, you know, Mike Klum comes to me and says, I want to do a different kind of documentary with you. It would not be like Boogie's documentary. It would be very different, you know, covering your life and all the things that you've been through, and basically your history as a content creator on the internet, the ups and downs. And yes, it's going to feature people who don't like you talking about you, right? But at the same time, you'll be able to clap back essentially and give your side of the story of everything going on, and we'll be able to accurately recount what's happened to you and your business and your channels over the years, and why so many people who literally don't know an actual fact about you don't like you. right? And I like that. I absolutely like that idea, right? And that was essentially what we were going for. It was supposed to be a fair level documentary that's going to cover the good and the bad. But basically, if you watched this, it wasn't a pity party documentary. It was going to be more of an honest, and there was going to be some comedy in it, and there was going to be other things in it. You know, it was meant to be an entertaining piece. You know, when you're making a documentary that's like 90 minutes long, you want people to be enjoying every second of it, not on board in this part or whatever, right? So there was going to be all that stuff, right? But of course, you guys were very apprehensive about it, saying, you know, I don't know if this makes sense to do, because the only documentary that Mike Clum's done up to now is this Boogie documentary that doesn't sound like that, right? It's like basically he turned Boogie. Well, he didn't turn Boogie. Like, this was their idea, you know? Basically, what he wanted to do was make Boogie look pathetic so that people would feel bad for him. And I said, that's not what I want at all. That's not what I would want out of my documentary. I'm not sad. My life's not dark. I actually have a really good life, you know, in regards to my work and my personal life. Just because a million people on the internet talk shit about me daily doesn't mean that I'm not actually in a positive place in my life. That's great. It's the opposite situation of Boogie, right? So basically, the way I see it, it would have been very different, okay? That's essentially what was discussed. That's what we're going to work on, a different kind of documentary. But now you're going to tell me the next documentary Mike Clum's going to do is this guy EDP, a guy who literally went from YouTube popularity to being exposed supposedly, and I got to say that because I don't know if there's concrete evidence or not. I can only tell you from what I've seen and heard hearsay on the internet. Supposedly, he was exposed for pedophilia, or at least accusations of pedophilia, was canceled, and literally no one wants anything to do with this guy anymore, right? So I guess the question is, what's the story? Right? And maybe that is the story, is to find out the true story of what happened. But from what everyone says, it's like a slam dunk case. Like, it's not like you can dispute it and say, oh, it was fake. Like, it happened. He was exposed for it, and that's why he got canceled, and that's why he's not prominent anymore, you know. So the thing is, I didn't even know anything about it until you guys told me a couple days ago. You're like, are you aware that Mike Clum's working with EDP? And I'm like, no. And then, of course, it starts showing up in my feed. Boogie has met with EDP, and they're sitting down to eat a meal, and the meal is like a bunch of Big Macs and powdered donuts. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what the fuck? All right? Like, no, really, what the fuck? Two guys who are grossly obese sitting down to eat Big Macs and donuts together. Does that make any sense? Logically? Morally? Does that make any fucking sense? To have two guys sitting down doing that? No. They're killing themselves, right? It's awful. Why would they be doing that? And then I guess they released a bunch of other, like, production stills of, like, EDP posing in front of a camera dramatically for what's going to be a documentary. And, you know, to be honest here, I think that's about it for me. Well, you're going to tell me that there's going to be a guy who essentially has been exposed for pedophilia on the internet, canceled because of it. What's the story to tell there? Exactly. Maybe, unless there is some secret story that no one knows about, that actually this whole thing was a screw job and none of it was true, right? At all. Then I guess that's the documentary, right? I guess that's the story. But unless that's the story, I don't think there's anything to tell there. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people already on the internet are very upset with Mike Clum basically saying, why are you giving this guy a venue to be heard when basically we were done with him years ago? Like, we don't want him to have a venue. We don't want him to have a way to speak out about anything because he's a scumbag, essentially, from what was found out about him, right? Again, I don't know, but I'm just speaking from, you know, what I've heard on the internet. So here's the thing. That's what's funny. The Boogie stuff, EDP stuff, that shit has nothing to do with me or my content or my life, right? At all. Couldn't be further different from my situation at all. You know, I have a full-time, very, you know, productive business that's successful. I have people who support me. I have people who love me in my personal life. My life is going good, except for the fact that there's thousands of people on the internet who shit on me on a daily basis for personal gain. outside of that, everything's going good, right? I don't have a horrible story to tell about my sad, miserable life, about being accused of horrible things like pedophilia. Nothing like that, okay? So I couldn't be further from guys like that. So then why would I be making a documentary with someone who makes those kind of documentaries, right? And that's kind of the take I have on it. Like, okay, maybe the Boogie one was the first one, but you're going in a different direction. But now the next one is with a guy like EDP. It's like, what? Like, wait, what? I don't know, man. So at the very point here, I'm very happy that I have not gotten wrapped up in all of this shit. In the last year, they tried to get me to go on a stupid lolcow podcast. Thank God I made the completely 100% correct decision to not be involved with that kind of crap. And I'm, doing my own thing. I was interested in doing, this documentary if it was going to be what I was told it was going to be. But now when you're telling me the first two projects that Mike Klum is doing is literally two guys considered ginormous lolcows. I wouldn't even say EDP is a lolcow. EDP is just like, people think of him as a heinous person, right? So do I want to be on the string of documentaries about people like that? No, I don't. And I think now I really looking at the situation, not only would it not have made sense for me to do the documentary because I don't know how I would have done it with my busy work schedule and lifestyle, it would have completely overworked me and kind of destroyed me, honestly, I think, right? But in addition, now seeing the string of stuff coming out of that documentary, it's like, I think I definitely made the right decision, man. I really do. I think I made the right decision. I don't know. Maybe you guys disagree. Because again, if things did go forward the way that we had discussed, which is what I've been transparent with all of you about, that it was not supposed to be that kind of documentary about a lolcow or a horrible embarrassment or a person with horrible history. It was supposed to be, hey, here's a normal guy running a business, did it his own way, and over the years reacted poorly to the criticism on the internet, and then people just learned to hate him for reasons of personal benefit, and here's that story, right? Now, love him or hate him, go check out his content, and if you like it, good for you, right? If you don't, oh well, at least you got to know his full story so you understand the references you hear all the time. Like, that was supposed to be the point, right? So, anyway, I don't know. I'm actually, perhaps, right, did the right thing here, Because it's funny, like, someone like Bill Williams says, Mike Klum is appealing to a certain type of audience and demographic. I don't think that the final product would have reflected what you intended it to be. Maybe you're right. The thing is, in life, you don't know. You don't know. What you don't take chances on, you don't know what's going to happen. But here's the thing. Last year, I took a chance on an interview that originally I didn't even want to do. I was supposed to be a guest on a show. And it turns into this interview, and the interview essentially becomes a 3-ring circus of Detractor drama that then benefits detractors for how many months and ruins everyone's experience here on my content for like many months. And I learned my lesson on that. I really did. Like, if that hadn't happened, likely I might have gone through with this documentary. But after last year, I think I've learned my lesson to stay away from this drama shit. That it doesn't help anyone around here, right? Like I said, maybe there will be one day when I decide that a documentary makes sense, okay? Right? For now, I don't think so. For now, I don't think it makes sense. Number one, I can't fit it in with my life as it is. And number two, I believe it would very much just bring way more drama to this community than anything else. And what's the point of that, right? Who benefits from that? Some people do. Boogie thought he did. Boogie thought he benefited from drama. I think that's the problem. Like someone like Boogie, he literally thinks that all he'll ever get attention for the rest of his life is fabricated drama on the internet. So he just keeps fabricating more so people will keep paying attention to him. Him sitting down with EDP to eat a bunch of fucking Big Macs and donuts. It's fucking disgusting, right? It's completely immoral. But, oh, look at these two lolcow guys. Let's laugh at them and talk about them today. So he gets attention, right? Like, that's not me. I'm literally the polar opposite. I want nothing to do with that. I just want people to come by and hang out with me and enjoy games and a fun discussion during a podcast. And I want to branch out over the years. Now I'm doing throwback content because I'm such a long time and prolific creator. I want to eventually get into other topics of discussion as we've talked about this year. I don't want to be a guy that literally the only reason you'll pay attention to me is because I did something embarrassing on the internet today. Okay? So, there you have it. I'm avoiding it. I'm glad I did. Okay? So there you go. And no, some people are being so stupid because, again, what is it with these people who think that life is black and white? Because, like, literally now people in the chat, oh, so that means Mike Klum is a detractor. No, it doesn't, stupid. And just saying that is incredibly stupid that you would even say something like that. What are you talking about? Life is not black and white. I keep telling you this. There's many shades of gray and many compromises and middle of the road things. This is where reality is. It's not either someone absolutely loves you or absolutely hates you. Either they're your biggest fan or your biggest detractor. No. I feel like Mike Klum would have done a neutral take. I do believe that. Like, he would have done a neutral take where, you judge for yourself, right? But the fact is that when his history is Boogie and now EDP, these guys that are, totally different from me, but almost similar situation to themselves, what does that mean for what this documentary would have been observed? Because here's the truth. In life, it's not about what's real, it's about how it's perceived. That's actually a really good point. In life, it's not about what's factually true. It's not about what actually happened. It's about the perception of reality. Because it doesn't matter what the truth of the matter is. If everyone believes something else, then that's their reality. And that's the situation with me. Is that even though I have nothing to do with Boogie, I have nothing to do with EDP, I have nothing to do with Wings of Redemption, I'm nothing like any of them, people will constantly group me into them anyway because the perception is told to do that by a mob of people on the internet, right? So, that's the truth. Even if I did a documentary, right, that really did cover me in a very fair way and actually showed both sides of the equation and actually fairly covered everything going on, right? Guess what would have happened? People still would have said, wow, look, this is the documentary that exposes Phil and does horrible things. What? They still would have said that. I really believe that. Like, again, I don't think I'm ever going to get a fair shake. I don't think that would ever happen because it seems to me like no matter what, there's always an underlying agenda on the internet of, cancel culture, fuck this guy, he's the guy who we've hated on for over a decade, let's just keep that bandwagon rolling because it always gets us the lulz and gives us content to talk about. I mean, again, I'll go back to the reference to that Turkey Tom documentary from in the fall, right? He does a documentary and a lot of people are saying, it's not that bad, Phil. There's some things in there that you probably disagree with, but it's not that bad. It's mostly a neutral take, right? And I'm considering doing an interview with the guy about it after the fact. And then come to find out, the guy's going on a podcast called the Lol Cow Podcast, appearing as a lol cow farmer to milk people on the internet for drama content so he can make money. Like, literally, that's the premise. Then he's saying in videos about me, well, I think I've milked Phil enough. And he says that's disgusting, right? That's the mentality of a lot of these people on the fucking internet, is how much can I milk out of people for personal benefit? So, no, I don't think that I want to be milked, okay? I don't. I'm done with this nonsensical stuff. I'm just going to do my own content, okay? And, it is what it is. There's going to be ups and downs to that. There's going to be times when I'm playing a prominent game, or there's something exciting going on, and people are interested. There's going to be times like literally right now, where it's a million RPGs and people have burnout and they're waiting for new content that's different, right? And that's the case. And it's never going to be, that situation where we're going to always have prominence or attention. But as long as I have a positive viewer base who come and support me no matter what I do, I'm good. And I have that. I do have that. So I'm happy and grateful for that. Maybe that's why I'm different from all the others who they have to make drama in order to get any kind of attention or popularity. I don't have to do that. I can still be successful without that nonsense. And I'm happy for that and grateful for that. Because if that were the case, if the only way I could get noticed was drama, then I would stop making content entirely. Really. I would just quit. Okay? I would have enough. I'd be like, that's enough of that crap. So. What just popped up on my screen? Oh, okay. Never mind. Nothing bad. Okay. So. There you have it. And, there we go. Yeah, everything froze for a second and then it worked. I guess I had a blip there. Okay, cool. Are we good? Oh, let's hide this guy. Yep. Basically, a bunch of idiots showed up to talk shit when I was saying that because, you know, they don't like reality. They like to live in their parallel dimension, and they don't believe reality for what it is. So fuck you and get out of my chat. Okay. What happened? There was a blip over here, and then a bunch of people got banned at the same time for being trolls. So that's what happened. Okay. Anyway, so that's that. I'm happy I didn't get involved in that. I'm so busy I probably wouldn't have done the documentary justice anyway. And now it seems like I've dodged a huge bullet. So I think I made the right decision. Thank you all for helping me with that too. I will say that if it was only through your actual feedback, your actual input, that allowed me to make the proper decision. If I had just, you know, again, kind of rolled with stuff, I probably would have done something that I regretted, you know? And you got to look at the climate and the atmosphere around you, and you got to read the room. And essentially, what many of you said at that time was, do not involve yourself with that stuff. It's going to be it's just going to be detrimental to you and everyone around you. And I think I made the right decision. I think you guys were correct, and I think that we're on the right track right now. Okay? Let's keep it that way. Let's separate ourselves from that shit. That vortex of toilet shit that wants to spin around in YouTube, right? Okay. Anyway, so thank you guys for helping. Today, I'm excited for today. Why? Because today we are returning to Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and we're heading to the next story area. Now, here's the cool thing about this. Number one, people were complaining I was doing too much side content. Today, I'm not doing side content. We're actually heading right to the major story developments. That's number one. Number two, people were saying that they weren't attending the streams because basically they were afraid of spoilers. Well, now I didn't play Final Fantasy 7 for 2 days. Likely many of you who bought the game and are playing it every day, you're ahead of me now, right? So I'm hoping that many of you here today will be able to enjoy the content, hang out with me, and have a good time, and not have to worry about spoilers or anything like that, okay? So, thanks for those who are here to chill with me. I'm excited for today's stream. The game has been amazing, like I've told you guys. I've definitely thought that so far, this is going to be a Game of the Year contender. Now, I'm only 11 hours in, right? 11 or 12. I think I'm like 11 and a half hours in. But so far, it's been a high for me. I'm excited to see where the game goes, and I think if it stays at its level, it will be Game of the Year contender for me. Okay? Sound good? Okay. Tonight, late stream, Tekken 8, more Yoshimitsu gameplay. I'm trying to get my Yoshimitsu out of the red ranked matches into the purple. This is really the tipping point, where once you get to purple, you're considered pretty good at Tekken. Not God tier or anything, but you're pretty good if you're in purple. You know, a lot of pretty good players are in the purple level. Personally, I don't have a lot of time to play Tekken, so I don't think I'm ever going to get out of purple. Just being honest here, like, even if I stick with Yoshimitsu forever and he's the only character I use, I doubt I'm going to get past purple. I think that that's going to be my limit. I did watch about an hour of gameplay last night, a few top Yoshimitsus, and a few tactics that I'm going to try to implement tonight, like number one, Flash, which is a move where you press 1 and 4 together. Yoshimitsu grabs his sword and kind of does this like stance with the sword that blocks. It's like a counter hit move. So if they're coming at you and you do it quick enough, you can catch them. And then you can continue on with like a follow-up. It was nerfed to not be as good, but pros are still using it, and it's effective. So I'm like, I might try that tonight, because I really haven't implemented that. And I'm thinking I need to start trying it and see how good it is. In addition, there's some variations on combos that I've noticed people doing that I would like to try and see if maybe I can get those to implement. I might go into like training mode briefly and try a variation on a combo or two and see if it's any better than what I've been doing. And I definitely need to implement the stance changes more. Every pro player does stance change into the helicopter and then does options out of it. And I really don't do that. Okay? And that's a big loss for me. I should absolutely be using the tools. And that's one thing that I just haven't been doing. So I think I should work on that and get a little bit better with that. So tonight, that's my goal. My goal is really, number one, to at least stay where I am. As long as I don't lose ranking, that's good. If I can get to purple tonight, that'd be outstanding. But I don't know, because I'm having a really rough time where I am. Being that I only play Tekken 8 twice a week, I don't have the knowledge needed in order to really not get caught by a bunch of repetitive stuff by certain characters. Like, again, I'm watching top pro players, right? And I'm watching, for example, someone using Claudio. When I fight Claudio, basically the people do the same 2 to 3 moves over and over, and they're so fast they catch me every time and I lose. I'm watching the pro Claudio, they never do it. Like, one of Claudio's best moves is this jumping kick launcher. The pro Claudio used it once in a whole set. Only once, and it caught, but he only used it once. Every time I fight Claudio, they're just spamming that, and it beats everything I do. So that's what I mean. Like, watching pro matches doesn't necessarily teach you the essentials you need. You end up seeing high-level strategies because the two players know they're really good and aren't going to spam shit. But when you're playing lower-level people, they'll just spam shit, and if you don't know the answer to it, you get screwed. And that's kind of my situation right now. So I'll try to implement a few things. I saw this one combo string that can lead into like a cancel into either a throw or a high-low mix-up. I'll try that. And like I said, combo variations and maybe trying flash a couple times. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm going to focus on tonight. So that's today's stream. It's going to be Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth now, and then later tonight, Tekken 8. Now, tomorrow is my final consecutive streaming day of the week, and that's going to be Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Okay? I'm off from streaming on Thursday. Friday will be more Final Fantasy 7 and Tekken 8. Saturday will be Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon. Sunday is React Day, where all day long I do the reacting. It's DSP versus the internet on DSP Reacts, and more Retro Replay to Heavy Rain. Retro React to Heavy Rain on DSP Throwback. And then on Monday, by the way, I'm just going to start banning people now who refuse to listen to me. All right? I'm going to say it one time. Stop talking about troll activities. I'm done with it. I don't want anyone talking about it and mentioning it. You're an idiot if you do, because you're giving them the attention they want. If you don't shut the fuck up about trolling, you're part of the problem. So if I see anyone bringing up the trolling, you are going to be banned like everybody else. I've already talked about it 3 days in a row now, and people still won't stop. Like, you can't control yourself. Like, you're like a 5-year-old with an impulse. I can't stop talking about this thing going on over here. Fuck that thing going on over there. It's an idiot with his pants down trying to moon you in the middle of the street, and you keep talking about him. Fuck that idiot. Let that guy dance in the street with his pants down. No one cares. All right? Stop with this nonsense, because I'm trying to maintain a fucking semblance of normalcy. Trolls will be trolls. There's nothing you can do about it. Shut up about it. When you talk about it, you give them exactly what they want. Okay? Let the guy flagellate himself in the middle of the street. Okay. So, next week will be a balance. Okay? We'll back and forth day streams between Final Fantasy and Baldur's Gate, night streams Tekken 8 and Like a Dragon, and the React Day on Sunday. Likely next Monday, I will have to take Monday night off. Okay, probably, because I'm probably going to work either more on the taxes, or I'll probably be doing the private React videos for patrons, or both. I'm going to have to split it. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll split half and half, okay? So there you go. That's what's coming up. Now, around the middle of this month is the Star Wars Battlefront collection. Yes, I'm very interested in that. The games are outstanding, and I can't wait to try them online. And then on the next week after that is Rise of the Ronin. That's my next major release I'm interested in. I'm also interested to see how Alone in the Dark is, because it comes out later this month, but no one's sure if it's going to be good or not. It got delayed a couple times, and no one even really knows what the gameplay is yet. So once we get closer to that release, we'll look into that one. I think I will probably delay Dragon's Dogma 2. I don't see myself playing yet another RPG in the mix right now. We need to focus on the games I'm playing and get further in them and try to wrap them up before I'm jumping into yet another RPG. Fair enough? Okay. Also, in about 1 month's time now, will be my birthday bash for 2024. My birthday is the first week of April, and traditionally I always hold some kind of a silly marathon around then. Yes, this year will be no exception. Probably what we'll do is a day-long marathon where maybe I'll decorate a little bit behind me for my birthday. We'll do some fun stuff that day. Probably my wife will make a cake, and I'll have a piece of the cake on the stream. Perhaps we'll order some food that day. What we'll be doing that day is up to you. Could we do some retro React content? Sure we could. Maybe react to some older stuff. Maybe wrap up a playthrough or start another one. Could we do some gameplay? Sure we could. You want to see some Tekken? You want to see some other random stuff online or whatever? Why not, right? There's all these different things we can do. But we'll talk about that over the course of the month. Let's probably wait another week and then probably significantly start planning it so that we know what to do. I'll tell you one thing I absolutely want to do. I want to sit down with you guys, and I want to figure out the gaming schedule for the rest of the year, because now we've had all these events that have been going on, and we have all these updates to all game release dates, right? We haven't done one since Christmas. So right now I'm way behind on everything that we're doing, and I don't really know even what's coming out. So I need to sit down with you guys and go through a schedule again, and let's figure out all the games coming out so we have the landscape set and we know what to expect, okay? So that definitely could be something we do during that event. I think that would be pretty fun, okay? All right. So that's what's going on, all right? Now, since so many people keep mentioning it, I already talked about it last night in my daily wrap, but I'm just going to say it again. Yes, it's obvious that troll activities, they're trying to viewbot this channel, which is stupid. It doesn't affect the channel. Okay, I'm just going to say that. It doesn't. The views don't count. When you see a viewbot come onto a channel like this, it doesn't count. It actually doesn't count as a legit view. YouTube doesn't count it for a view or for anything like ad revenue or anything like that at all. It's completely, it's held apart from that, I guess you could say. I don't even know how to say it, So they've been doing it for days because they want your attention. That's literally the only reason. They're not affecting the channel in any negative way. They've done this before. They were doing this for weeks a couple years ago, and nothing happens. So all you got to do is relax and sit back and stop mentioning it. These idiots want to blow their money on nonsense. It's not me doing it. I condemn it. I don't support the practice. It doesn't benefit me or my channel in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't bring anyone new to the channel. It doesn't help me in anything. It's just a waste of time, okay? It's just an idiot, literally an idiot, blowing money on it. So just ignore it, all right? I literally do not look at view count on my streams, okay? I don't. So since that's happening, all right, just ignore it. If you consistently bring it up in the chat, you're going to be moderated because there's a rule on my streams. It says it right there. Don't bring up detractors. Don't bring up detractor content. This is considered a detractor action. This is considered trolling. Just ignore it. If you keep bringing it up, you're giving them exactly what they want. Attention. Don't give them attention, and it's going to go away. Okay? Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so that's everything literally that I wanted to cover up to there. I have a very, very brief amount of news that I want to talk about, okay? So, it's time for everyone's favorite segment. That's right, it is time for a little bit of DSP news today. People want me to pin a message? Sure. There you go. I made a pinned message. Done. Okay. All right. So I have two news stories for today. Not major stories, but stories nonetheless. The first story is regarding Game Pass and the releases that are coming to Game Pass Ultimate this month. So we were just talking about Game Pass yesterday and how some publishers seem to be under the impression that it doesn't help their games in game studios, while others have been saying that it does. Well, just listen to the game releases for this month. Okay, so today, Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun is coming to Game Pass. I have absolutely no idea what that is. The only Warhammer game I knew was coming out later this year. And wasn't that the one where you play as like a space marine and it kind of looks like Gears of War or whatever? And that one looks decent. I don't know what the hell this bolt gun game is. I never even heard about it. So there you go. On the 7th, so in a couple of days, Paw Patrol World. If you're a fan of the Paw Patrol series, there you go. On the 12th of March, we've got SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. If you remember, that was the really cool remake of SpongeBob from many years ago. I played it. I'd never played the original. And playing this one, I was like, oh, this one's really good. It was fun to see that game in a modern, graphics. Ultimately, it was outdated. It had an outdated feel to it, but it was a very fun game. So I'm glad that you guys got me into checking that out because I had never played that game before, and it was like a game that everyone had always talked about over the years. Control Ultimate Edition comes out on March 13th. Hey, Control is a great game. Admittedly, I did feel like the gameplay was limited, that it didn't have enough of a cover-based system, and some of the combat was very repetitive and annoying, but the plot's great. And a lot of the atmosphere in the game is very well done. And keep in mind, Control directly ties into the Alan Wake 2 universe. So if you liked Alan Wake 2, you're probably going to like Control, and you're going to see some references between. No More Heroes 3 comes out on the 14th of March. Now, No More Heroes 3 is a game that came out to little to no hoopla, which is a little sad because I think No More Heroes 1 and 2 were like viral hits. And then a lot of people were like, when 3 came out, oh, you're going to play it? I was like, well, I never played 2. I bought 2 for the Wii a long time ago. And I said, hey, if you guys ever want to see me play it, I will. And no one ever wanted to see me play it. So I never did, and so I didn't play 3. And it just kind of came out, and then that was that. Like, no one really talked about it. I think at one point, the series was much more prominent. But anyway, 3 is coming to Game Pass on the 14th. And then on the 19th, so near the end of the month, we got Lightyear Frontier. I don't know what that is. And MLB The Show 24. And that's the brand new American baseball game, Major League Baseball. I guess they've always been on Game Pass, correct? MLB. So if you're into the MLB, got a good game coming up later this month. You know, I've played it from time to time. I've had chill baseball streams that are pretty fun. Now, let's talk, this is funny, about 2 games that just came out in the last month that are already an extreme discount. So first of all, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, is now available literally everywhere for $49.99 or less. Now, this is a game that was sold for full price. It was sold for $70, or was it $80? I can't even remember. I think it was $70, like $69.99, right? So now, it's already down to $50 within 1 month. And actually, some stores are starting to already liquidate the inventory. Meaning, if you go to a physical store, you may actually get it for even cheaper because they bought a ton of copies anticipating this game was going to be the next hit from Rocksteady. And literally no one's buying it. It's just sitting there collecting dust. And stores are like, shit, these copies didn't move at all. So if you go to like your local store, like a Walmart or Target, you might get it for cheaper than that. But online, it's $49.99 like everywhere. You can buy it. And except for digital. I think digital, they didn't cut the price, right? I'm curious about that. They never cut the price for digital. They're just idiots like that. Because you can buy it everywhere for $50 or less. Let's see. Yeah, so here it is. Yeah, see, they're still charging $70 digitally, which is stupid. Do not buy Suicide Squad digitally. You are completely ripping yourself off if you pay $70 for it when you can buy it for $50 or less if you get a physical copy somewhere. Okay, this is a case, and you know me, personally, I don't buy physical copies of games. This is a case where the game flopped so hard, you can save yourself a ton of money by buying a physical copy because stores do not want this game on their shelves right now. Okay? So that's number 1. Save some money. If you're going to get Suicide Squad, buy it physically. Then again, I don't know why you would want to buy Suicide Squad. I'm just saying. The other one, I mean, let's be honest here. The big first ever quadruple A release, right? That's right. You know what game I'm talking about. The revolutionary game that only took like a decade to make. Skull and Bones from Ubisoft. Yves Guillemot, the game's biggest cheerleader, saying it's the first quadruple A game ever made, and he justifies the game's $70 price tag. The game already has dipped $25 in price at Best Buy, and everyone else is following suit. The game has not really sold at all anywhere. So again, this is another case where if you were thinking of getting Skull and Bones, first of all, it's on Game Pass. You can get it on Game Pass day 1. No, I take that back. It's on Ubisoft Plus. If you get the Ubisoft Plus premium membership, which is I think $20 a month, you get it that way. I would recommend if anyone was going to play that game, get it on Ubisoft Plus first just to test it. Maybe you would like it. For my wife and I, we played it for 2.5 hours. We couldn't stop laughing at how bad it was. It literally is a mobile game on your TV. That's really what it is. And after that, my wife was like, I'm never playing this game ever again. I'm so glad I just did Ubisoft Plus and I didn't buy it because it would have been a huge waste of money. But yeah, like it's already only 2 weeks from release? 3 weeks from release? I think it's 3 weeks it's been out. It's already slashed $25 in price. So you could get it for $45 anywhere it's sold because no one wants it. Yeah, I can't imagine. Can you imagine being a retailer these days and these games that supposedly are going to have hype behind them, so you stock them, and then the games flop horribly, And now you're just stuck with this fucking inventory. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? This is like a coaster. It's not even as good as a coaster. Like, at least a coaster that you use on your table for, like, a drink, right? At least it has, like, a nice design. Like, for example, here is my Portal 2 coaster. You see that? This is what I use in my office every day. Portal 2 coaster. This is more valuable than Skull and Bones right now. Because at least this looks nice, and I can put a drink on it. Like, the disc for Skull and Bones doesn't even look good. So at least this is a more valuable item right now. So imagine being a retailer and you stock your building with hundreds of copies, right? Hundreds of copies of these games like Suicide Squad and Skull and Bones, and they just sit there and no one ever walks in and buys one, right? I have another one too. Did you guys ever see these? It's been years since I showed you these. Here's the other one. Pretty cool, huh? I bought these 100 years ago. I believe I got these from ThinkGeek.com when they existed. When ThinkGeek.com was an independent store that had pop culture kind of, they considered it geeky stuff, you know, comic book, video game stuff. I bought these there, and then I had a bunch of stuff in my old place that was ThinkGeek.com related. I've always had these here in my office for 10 years. I've used these. And then basically they were bought out by GameStop. GameStop liquidated the entire business and just took their inventory and put it into their own places, and everyone got laid off. Isn't that nice? I guess that's how business works. So, anyway, yeah, I know I missed the store. ThinkGeek.com used to be an amazing store. Okay. All right, so that is really the gaming news for today. If you want to buy shitty games, you can get them at a big discount physically. Do not buy them digitally. You will really be screwing yourself over if you do that, right? There's no reason to waste your time on that stuff. Just get them physically because every single retailer is trying to get rid of those games. Okay? Cool. There we go. Walk Warrior says you should do monthly Loot Crate unboxing streams. I did do Loot Crate unboxing streams. I used to actually have a Loot Crate sponsorship for a couple of years there, 2-3 years. And I did a monthly unboxing. And what ended up happening was, when I first started doing it, my fans were hyped for it and were actually buying Loot Crates, and I was getting money via the referral code, okay? What ended up happening is, within a year of me doing it, I realized that more than half the Loot Crates were terrible. You'd open it up, it would be like a shitty shirt that you're never going to wear, a pin, a stupid figurine, you know, a balloon, you know, junk. It's like fucking party favors, right? So after unboxing this Loot Crate, and I would be honest about it, I'm not going to lie, when I unbox stuff, people would be like, wow, that doesn't look worth it. So I would say, like, probably 50% of the time, I would actually like what was in the stuff, and 50% of the time I hated it. So after about a year and a half of doing it, Loot Crate offered me an even more lucrative partnership. They said, we'd like to have you unbox some specialty boxes. Like, we're going to give you, I think one month they did a WWE box. I think once I did a special game box. I can't remember. But they gave me a few. I think there was like a Marvel Comics box once. Like, they were giving me pop culture stuff as well. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So I did a few of those. And basically what happened was, after, again, about a year and a half, 2 years of me doing it, no one was buying them anymore with my referral code. So basically Loot Crate was going out of business because they weren't making money anymore. So they had to basically stop partnerships. So they said, sorry, you know, at this point, no one's buying it with the referral code. So we're going to, you know, back out of the partnership at this point. I said, that's fine. You know, honestly, don't really care. The stuff I'm unboxing is junk anyway. I'm not getting anything out of this. And then they completely went out of business, like 100%. And then they got bought out by another company. And I believe the new company, you know, revived them. And now they're back in business doing it again. So I have no clue if the modern Loot Crate is any better than what the old Loot Crates were. But I've been there, done that. They're never going to take on someone like me again as a sponsor, because they know that I'm going to be honest. You know, I'm not going to unbox the Loot Crate and say, oh my God, look at all this amazing, great stuff in this Loot Crate that you should totally spend money on right now. I never did that. And they couldn't handle someone being honest, you know, because then it means that people weren't buying them. All they had to do was put not junk in the box, and people would have liked it, because I would have unboxed it and been honest and be like, wow, look at all this good stuff in here. But they put junk in the box. They, you know. And what are you going to do? That's why they went out of business. You know, then they got restarted by another company. So, okay. All right, so that is all I really had to talk about today, guys. So I have a couple of quick shout outs to do. And then I guess we will see what you guys want to talk about today. First of all, we start on the YouTube side of stuff with SD Chargers, who did a super chat. He says, once you get hit with the pedo label online, it is over for you. Yeah, I can imagine. And here's the thing. All the years that I've been a content creator, right? 16 now and climbing. You can crap on me all you want. You really can. You can completely crap on me and say, my content sucks. I was so irreverent and immature back in the day, and all the bullshit that conspiracy people make up about me today, that's not true. But thankfully, right, I never, ever got involved with anything awful when you really think about it on paper, what a lot of other people have done versus the things that people say about me. My stuff's petty, dumb shit that they just compile and laugh at, right? While, can you imagine? I mean, yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, shit. You get that, murder, or like a lot of the people have been saying, like serious accusations of like huge misconduct of people of of various relationships, right? Like for example, Toby Turner, right? He was so prominent on YouTube and such a popular YouTuber, and then he started getting hit with accusations that his rampant drug abuse and basically abuse of women, and then that was it. Like, he got completely canceled, and now who the hell talks about Toby Turner anymore, right? So that's what I mean. Like, there are certain things that's one of them. You know, there's a couple of things that you get accused of that, and if there's enough evidence, that's that. That's the end of that, right? So, but that's the thing, like, the stuff that people talk about with me is so stupid, right? It's so dumb, the shit that people bring up. Most of it is completely fake. Some of it is based on a tiny little thing that once was true that's not true anymore, but they just consistently keep lying to it over and over. You know what I'm saying? It's just dumb, the shit that people say that makes absolutely no sense. Like for example, this guy who I'm literally banning right now, he's 100% factually untrue, and there will never be any facts to back up what they're saying because it's a lie. You have no evidence of anything you're saying because you literally made it up because you're an idiot, right? But that's the good thing. No one, as over all these years, no one's ever going to accuse me of that kind of heinous shit. No one, because it didn't happen. I completely stayed out of anything at all that could have been that kind of a heinous act or a risk. I'm relatively tame when it comes to the things that people have done on YouTube. It's just some commentary that was bad and raging against viewers who were critical of me and shit like that is what the most you're going to find. You're not going to find heinous acts like these people have done. You got to think about it this way. What happened with YouTube was you got a bunch of people who had absolutely no responsibility whatsoever in their lives, never knew what responsibility meant, right? Didn't understand the power that they had as a YouTuber, that when they talked, they had this presence to certain people. People looked up to them as an idol almost, as a celebrity, and they didn't understand that. And so you've got young people with little to no experience having responsibility in their lives, all of a sudden given a tremendous amount of power and popularity, and then you get misuse of it. It's just cause and effect. Like, that's what's going to happen. For every 100 YouTubers out there, there's probably like 20 or 30 that misuse their power at some point along the line in some heinous way because they just didn't get it, right? Now, things are different. Now we have a track record of people on YouTube becoming YouTube popular, YouTube famous, the power that they have, and we've seen case after case documented of people misusing that power. So now you at least have kind of an outline of what to follow when you're a YouTuber. There's do's and don'ts. There's things you don't do because it's just awful, heinous, unforgivable stuff, right? And that's the thing. Back then, when I started on YouTube, there was no history of someone being YouTube famous, YouTube popular, to see what they did and learn from their mistakes. And now there's tons of those kinds of cautionary tales, but they didn't exist back then, right? So that's a good thing. Right. With great power comes great responsibility, except the people who were becoming YouTube famous didn't have that. They didn't know that. They didn't care. I mean, to some extent, me too. Just thankfully, I never did anything bad, but I would say dumb shit like I would insult everyone who played Minecraft, not understanding the repercussions of that. Why would I do that? Because I'm stupid, I'm ignorant, I'm dumb. And then as I grew up and I realized, man, I don't want to do that. I don't want to just insult entire blanket groups of people. I want to try to make an effort to understand from another person's perspective, or at the very least, if I disagree with someone's perspective, at least agree to disagree and still respect them and their opinions, right? That's something that I've learned to do over time. I used to be like, my way or the highway. Screw you if you don't agree with me. You're an idiot. Now, I'm not like that anymore. But that's a bad mentality to have, and that's how I used to be. You know what I say? I mean? All right. So what would you guys like to talk about today? Because I did the shout out for SD chargers. And that's what I'm seeing so far. So if you guys want to talk about any topics, please tag me in the chat. If any contributions come in, I will shout them out. Okay? Ooh, excuse me. Anso Kamaru, I already said it's fine if you do. He says, respect people who like sexual themes in games. If you like that, that's fine. Go for it. But enjoy it in your own space, in your own life, in your own home. And don't impose it on others. That's the point I'm making in my gameplay, is if I don't like it, respect my decision to not like it and not want to partake in it. Just like you have the right to enjoy it in your own life, but it's my business, my stream. I don't have to partake in that stuff. It's my personal preference. I respect you. If you like it, go for it. What have I learned about what not to do? Definitely, one thing I've learned, okay, you can't be just 100% self-reliant. You have to rely on input from others. Because if you just stay self-reliant and you only listen to yourself, you only get that one perspective. You get this tunnel vision idea, and it basically makes you outdated. Like, for how many years? I didn't even want to do direct capture. I didn't want to try live streaming. I never wanted to be interactive with my live audience. Huge mistakes. Huge mistakes. Made me so outdated and set back from where everyone was going 10 years ago, right? And here I am adopting those things so late in the life cycle, and even when I adopted them, not adopting them properly. How did I stream for 4 years and not talk to the chat? Completely stupid, right? But that's how I was. You have to be open-minded. You have to take feedback. You can't be an obstinate, stubborn idiot if you want to be in an industry like this, Yako Almighty says, do you think you're being more authentic now or back when you first started? Now. Back when I first started, I keep telling you guys, I was purposefully trying to go out of my way to constantly fit every moment of dead air in a playthrough with commentary. And that meant make it as cringe as possible so that people would talk about it. Do you really think that I had every one of those thoughts in my head? No, I was purposefully pushing the envelope to get attention for myself, and it worked, right? At least for a time. After a time, people basically got exhausted with it. Said enough with the constant blathering on about stupid sex and race and all this nonsense. Instead, just play the game, right? And so finally, like I said, in 2017, when I started to be more myself and feel more relaxed and comfortable on streams with you guys having conversations like we're having right now, things just got better. It got more natural. I feel way more comfortable doing this now, and this is definitely more authentic me, right? You still get the unfiltered Phil. You still get my true thoughts on games and other topics, right? But at the same time, I'm not going out of my way to be over the top, cringeworthy, oh, now give me attention because I caused drama today. That's what I was going for back in the day. See? Oh, yeah? Swaganito says, I remember young Phil made those mistakes. Yeah, constantly. But again, that's what was giving me popularity. So I thought, hey, that's what people want. Just keep doing it, right? Preem Sardine says, I used your current magic build in Elden Ring, and he did beat Millennia, but it was very hard, so good luck. Well, the thing is, I don't even know if we're going to be doing that build, because we have that build, and what I need to do when we go back to Elden Ring, which will probably be like May, I'm thinking, right? We have to get to Moog. We have to get to the underground Blood Palace and Moog, and we have to beat Moog, and then we're good. Then we're good for the DLC. I don't know if we'll redo the Hallig Tree again. I don't know if there's a point. What I'm thinking is get to the DLC, see what stuff you unlock right away at the beginning, and then maybe go respec and use it. I think it's more interesting to respec and use the new weapons we're going to get from the DLC than to stick with the magic build. I think the magic build was getting played out, right? I received my first tip of the day. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Someone tipped me $5, says, Warhammer 40k bolt gun is a classic FPS. It plays like old school Doom, but you probably don't want to play it. You seem to have wrong opinions on Warhammer. Don't sully it. I have wrong opinions on Warhammer. I want you to think about that statement. First of all, how could someone's opinion be wrong? Right? You could say something factually untrue about something, and then it would be wrong. But how could you have a wrong opinion? What is my opinion on Warhammer? I don't even know what my opinion is. I don't think I have one because I played one game ever in the Warhammer universe ages ago. I played it co-op with John Rambo, and I think we liked it. And I don't think I've really said a few words edgewise about it, except every once in a while we'll watch a video on the React channel about it. And I'm interested. I like the idea of having physical stuff when you're doing role-playing because, for example, like when we're talking about D&D, D&D is all fantasy, right? Like, I guess you can make your own props and stuff for D&D, but most people just sit down with the books or whatever and just play it that way. While with Warhammer, you actually have all physical things you're using during your campaigns, right? I think I'd like that better. I'd rather have physical stuff. That makes sense. So I don't know what you're talking about. I have wrong opinions. I literally have no clue what that means. I don't know what opinions you think I even have on it because I don't even think I have any. But it's good to know that it plays like an old school first person shooter like Doom. That's interesting. Probably not something I'm going to play anyway, regardless. But thank you for the tip and letting me know. Oh, by the way, guess what? It's Final Fantasy VII Day. Guess what that means? If we hit the tips goal of $100, I put on the Cloud Wig for only the second time ever. So if you want to see me look absolutely ridiculous live in this Clown Wig today, please consider tipping to support the stream. Okay. Almost forgot about that. I wasn't even thinking about it. Okay. I received a $25 tip. That's funny. Okay, so 1 Minute Man, again, every day when he tips now, he drops a bunch of stuff about Baldur's Gate. And so I always try to interpret what he's saying, because a lot of times I don't even understand what he's saying. So, hold on, did the animation play? It did, cool. Let's get him on the leaderboard and let's read through this. Oops. So we will be at $30 in tips total so far today. A good start towards the Cloud Wig. Okay. So he says, as for a fair documentary, either call 60 Minutes or just drop it and give up. Maybe one day, internet culture will become mainstream enough that 60 Minutes would actually want to cover it and interview me and actually have, like, you know, an actual discussion about internet hate and how it grows and how people have these insane misconceptions about you that aren't true. And, you know, I don't know. Who knows, right? Maybe. But anyway, fair enough. Now he says, as for yesterday's stream, now I think he's talking about Baldur's Gate 3. Good, but for the love of God, stop blasting the door. Yeah, I was just messing around. It was the end of the stream, and I knew the door wasn't going to open. And I was like, well, I'll just mess around and kill a minute, right? Are you sure you found the real gold grind? We don't know, right? We found a guy who looks to be the mass murderer, and he got away. We thought his name was Gold Grind, but then he started calling himself something else, so I don't really know. I think that's where the plot is going. We're trying to figure that out. Then he's saying a bunch of stuff I don't even understand. Visit a face maker. Stop looking for Lara. Look for old Gargle. I don't know what any of that means. So, alright. I think he's jumping the gun. I don't know what any of that means. I don't even know who Lara is. So, okay, anyway. Thank you, 1 Minute Man, for the tip today. Of course, I won't remember any of that by tomorrow. We're playing Final Fantasy today. I won't remember any of that. Let's see here. No, you see, Darkwing Duck, that's funny. He says, that would never happen. Someone will send 60 minutes your Dead Space 2 playthrough. First of all, the moment you're talking about is not in my Dead Space 2 playthrough. It's in demo gameplay that was only put on Blip TV, removed from the internet, but everyone uploaded it everywhere else, okay? And that's the thing. Like, someone might look at that and be like, oh, okay, that's really bad. But is that representative of the person? And then actually look into it as a real documentarian, as opposed to, oh, that's really bad, so the person is evil forever, and that's the end of it, and they're canceled, right? That's what I mean. It would be a different thing. Actually, that would be a good example of something to show and say, here's something that this person has done that was awful, and they've made up for. They've apologized for, and they've committed to never do that again, and they haven't, right? I mean, you gotta remember, that was a clip from the end of 2010. We are now in March of 2024, nearly 14 years later, right? Let's see here. Thank you to Felix the Maid, who re-upped their membership for 15 months, as Zach Cloud Sephiroth, Janaze, and Angel RQ. I have no idea what you're even talking about. Janaze and Angel? Thanks, Felix. Pizza Box Gaming did a super chat, and he says, the Emperor protects. I don't know what that means either, but thank you, Pizza Box Gaming. I don't know what people are talking about today. Okay. Are the DSP throwback streams replacing long format React events for now? We haven't done a long format React event since, like, last summer. People told me to stop doing them. Like, last year, I reacted to a few of the June the King documentaries. I had one day where we reacted fully to the Internet Historian YouTube channel, correct? Basically, people said don't do it. They said they didn't like it as much. They would prefer if I did more gameplay streams, so I did. Now, the feedback I'm getting now is people really like the throwback content, and they like these throwback streams. Please keep doing them. So I will. I'm going to go with the feedback. The feedback was don't do the long-form reacts. Do more of this cool throwback stuff. So I'm going to go with your feedback, okay? Monty Mole, 8 months as a supporter, and he says, Gold Grind. Oh, where are you hiding, you son of a bitch? You mass murdering Gold Grind. Gold Grind. You lily liver chicken shit scumbag. Okay. Maybe he didn't say all of that, but there you go. Thank you very much, Monty Mole. Lilica says, are we going to jump straight into multiplayer on Battlefront? Yes. In fact, I would argue, even though the game has a campaign, I want to just do multiplayer. I think the multiplayer is the best part of the game. Anto Kamara says he's probably meaning Genesis and Angel from Crisis Core. Oh, I don't remember. I played Crisis Core so long ago, before I was a YouTuber. I don't even remember those characters. There you go. Is Gold Grind going to be a meme forever now? Will I be singing Gold Grind until my final day? On my final stream ever, when I'm signing off from being a content creator, will I sing you Gold Grind as my final piece of content? Wow. Yes. Monty Mole says yes. The sign that to the check mark. Yes. I'll do a big production number. I'll actually pay for like a crew to come in and film me singing a professional music video for Gold Grind. Oh, Gold Grind. Oh, you lowest piece of existence on the totem pole creature. I can't believe that you breathe the same air that we all breathe together. You scummy piece of crap. Did I sing in my church's choir? I did not. Do I have a planned idea when I want to retire from YouTube? No, I do not. Like I said, I feel like I've had my early career. I feel like what I'm doing right now is the middle of my career. I feel that. I feel like I'm 16 years in. This is the middle, right? Probably I've got another 15, 20 years in me. Honestly, now the difference is, am I going to be a full-time gamer that whole time? I don't think so. I think within the next decade, I'm going to get older. People are going to care less about my gameplay and more about other kinds of content. So whether that means reacting to older stuff, whether that means talking about other topics like current events, politics, etc., that's the kind of content that's going to get more prominent as I get older. Okay? So But I think I could keep going for a long time. This is a fun thing to do, and there's an audience for it, correct? Doesn't matter what I'm really doing, I have an audience, and that's a good thing. I have a perfect wig to sing TikToks? What? What? Okay. Here's hilarious. I got a $1 tip. You disparage the hobby you know nothing about. Same with D&D. Do us a favor. Don't talk about stuff you don't know anything about. I have not once ever disparaged Warhammer. Literally. Not once. One time, my wife and I, there was a new store that opened up around here. And we didn't know what it was. And we walked in, and it was all Warhammer. And we spent like a half an hour in there. Just walking around looking, and we were like, wow, look at how cool these figurines are. They're really neat. I think it's neat. I have no idea what you're talking about. Sounds like you listen to the wrong people. Much like, again, the whole topic we're talking about today. Why do most people not like me on the internet? Because they don't actually listen to me. They listen to everyone else who says shit that I didn't say but acts like I did. I don't say anything negative about Warhammer at all. I'm really confused about what you're even saying. Because I don't dislike Warhammer, nor have I ever, like, hated on someone who had Warhammer. So what are you talking about, right? You guys, can you anyone know what the hell they're talking about? I don't know. Again, exactly, it's about the perception. It's not about the reality. It's about people are perceiving things in a negative way that don't exist because they're just being told to by a bunch of malicious parties, right? I'm very confused. Pizza Box Gaming says, I'm a bigger Warhammer fan than that guy probably is, and you're good. Yeah, Pizza Box, what have I said about Warhammer? I don't think I've said more than 10 sentences about Warhammer, right? Very weird. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. There was, during the reaction on Sunday, it was showing off someone's Warhammer collection, and I was commenting at how cool it looked, and it was interesting because we were learning about how it works, and the guy was explaining about how you have undead units versus demons and how they work different, and I was like, wow, this is a fascinating video to learn about how the gameplay elements work. I'm interested in that, but I commented that I didn't understand, like, for example, one of the videos was the guy showing off his Warhammer collection, and I said, so I don't get it, because can't anyone just buy Warhammer? Like, can't you just go right now and buy Warhammer figures? So then what's the big deal about having a collection? I didn't understand, and no one on the stream really knew. Someone has left a comment after the fact and actually elaborated and said, so when you get Warhammer stuff, it's plain. Like, I guess when you buy the Warhammer figures, it's just the plain figures, but you actually have to decorate them yourself. So actually, it's like a hobby where you paint all your Warhammer figures, and you could paint them uniquely, or you could paint them like canon, how you would do in like per the story, I guess. And it's up to you to do that. And so people like how unique people are with the way that they decorate their armies that they build. And after I read that, I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. I didn't know that. I thought that they were pre-done. I thought you just buy them like action figures, right? They're pre-done, and you just use them in the game. So that's what I didn't understand. So thank you to the person who left that comment on the video. That followed up and helped. But outside of that, I have no idea what people are talking about. Like, about, you're hating on Warhammer. You don't understand it. I literally never hated on Warhammer. That's the extent of what I've talked about. And now that I've gotten elaboration, I actually understand it better. And that's pretty cool. So just think about that. I watch a Warhammer video. I actually like the learning about the gameplay elements. I think it's neat. And I just make a comment saying, I'd like more information about Warhammer stuff. Oh, see, Phil, you're misinformed on Warhammer, and you shouldn't talk about it ever again because you're hating on it. What the fuck? Where do you get that from? Like, where do you pull that out of your misinformed ass? Who's really misinformed? You are. What the hell are you even speaking of? I literally never said nothing wrong about it, but now you're going to come and say shit like that on the internet. It's pretty fucked up, but that's literally me. Perception versus reality. The perception is no matter what I do, it's wrong. I'm a horrible person. The reality is none of it ever happened, right? Okay. So here, wow, this is a giant message, right? It's huge. Oh, my God. So I got a ginormous $5 tip. It's like a ginormous paragraph, all right? Let me first play the animation, get it on the leaderboard, and then I'm going to read it. It's a huge paragraph here, okay? So, from Boulder Startled Shoulder, whatever the hell that means. That's the guy's name, I guess. He says, a bit of a rant here. Hear me out. I don't understand your haters. Now, by the way, he's going to reiterate a lot of the negative things my haters say about me. I'm not going to repeat that because that just gives them attention, but I'm going to basically summarize what he's saying. He said, I don't understand your haters, all the stuff they say about you. I'll go through what I know. I'm not going to read it because you guys already know the bullshit, and I'm not going to reiterate their misinformation and give them a venue here for it, okay? So, he says, at the end of the day, if you admitted to all the bad stuff people say about you and said it was all true, I wouldn't care. If you told me it's all a lie, I still don't care. I watch you because I think you're funny on camera. Your gameplay's funny. What you do behind the scenes, I just don't care. Them trying so hard to harm you by accusing you of all of this stuff, even if it's true or not. Nobody gives a shit who actually likes you. If aliens literally invaded Earth tomorrow and it's all over, the news people would forget about in a month and go on with their lives, so I don't get why it matters so much to them what you do and don't do. Absolutely, positively correct. Can I be honest with you? That is exactly what Mike Klum said to me when we were working on the documentary. He said, I think the most fascinating part about your story is that you haven't done anything at all that would warrant the amount of hate you get on the internet. It doesn't make any sense. Like, the amount of haters you have, the amount of people covering your content and restreaming you and making videos negatively about you every day, none of it makes sense because you're not anything that would warrant that level of attention. So one of the big fascinating parts about a documentary about me would be covering why so many people care about me, right? I literally am doing a stream that gets a few hundred viewers a day. I do videos that get a few hundred viewers a day, right? Do I make a living doing this? Yes, I do, and I'm very happy that I do. But I am small potatoes, right? I don't have a real giant mainstream audience for my shit at all. So why does anyone give two shits about what I say? Right now, if I insulted Keemstar on this stream, why would he go on his social media and make a video to clap back at me? Nobody cares that I insulted Keemstar. I'm nobody. But he still wastes his breath on it, right? It's so bizarre that big YouTubers from all over, people like Moist Critical and Asmongold, would ever mention me. Why would you mention Darkside Phil? I'm no one. But they do. It's fucking bizarre. I don't get it. What warranted the attention? I don't know. Nothing happened. Nothing crazy has happened. I'm just... I'm lost. I'm just as lost as you. I don't understand it. See, that I agree with. Yak Almighty says, they don't hate you because of what you've done. They hate you because it's fun for them. They have a community built around it. Oh, yeah? Ansu Kamaru says, in Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, I've switched to quality mode. The graphics are absolutely mind-blowing. The 30 FPS sucks, but after 2 days, I've gotten used to it. There you go. And I don't know. I think I prefer having 60 frames, though. Like, that's my personal preference. You know, maybe it does look a lot better in the performance mode. I feel like performance mode is for 1080p gaming, while quality mode is for anyone who's going to do a higher resolution, right? 1440p, 4K, you probably want quality, but I'm probably not going to even see the benefit of that, I don't think. Right? See, Hobo X says, I think quality mode increases resolution but doesn't improve the graphics at all. So everyone disagrees. Everyone just disagrees with each other for some reason. I don't know. Oh, let's see here. I received a $10 tip from Warky Wark. Is Invincible review in the agenda? The second part of Season 2 is airing this month. I don't think so. I think the way they did it, splitting it up, is such a bad idea. Like, at first, I had watched Invincible Season 1, or I should say, what was it, Season 1? Yeah, I guess. Like, last fall. And so I was, like, into it, and I was like, oh, it's a pretty good show, or whatever. And then he said, Invincible Season 2 is coming. I said, all right, I'm interested in it, but I'll hold off. You know, I'll wait until basically, like, the whole season's out, and then maybe I'll check it all out at once. And then they split it in such a stupid way that, like, it started, and now it doesn't resume till now. I'm going to be honest with you, I just don't care about it. That completely killed any kind of interest that I had for it. To have to watch some of it, wait, and then come back months and months later, now you've killed the momentum. I don't care about the show anymore. Maybe one day I'll watch it again, and I'm not going to review it. Who cares, right? They should absolutely release it in time, either one episode weekly or the whole season at once. You can't be releasing half and half like that. That is dumb, in my opinion. So I just don't care about it. I'm being honest. Like, season 1, I enjoyed it when I watched it in the fall. I just don't care about the show anymore. Maybe I'll get back to it someday, right? Andy Young, yes, just like every single game that I play, sometimes there's music copyright issues. And it depends. Sometimes I dispute them, sometimes I don't. In this case, I believe the first few videos of this playthrough did get claimed for music, and I tried to dispute them, and they're all in what's called escrow. What that means is basically YouTube just sits on it, and they see if whoever claimed the music wants to go to court about it. Because the thing is, it's a misidentification. When these videos get flagged, it's not because you're using the music, it's because it thinks you're using a cover song of the music. And like you're playing a guitar doing a cover of it. You're not. If you have purchased the license to play the game, and you're creating your own Let's Play or playthrough or whatever, and as long as you're doing the transformative things, like your own gameplay, your own commentary, that's a transformative work. The person who made the music was already paid for their use of the song in this game in perpetuity. They're not supposed to be getting excessive royalties on the back end for every single person who plays the game. So there's no legal right there for them to claim it at all. It's never been in a court of law where that's ever been a ruling, okay? So when YouTube is running Content ID and says, oh, Part 5 of Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth is claimed for music because you're using a cover song. No, I'm not. I'm using the original soundtrack. It's covered by gameplay, the gameplay clause of fair use. Therefore, too bad. And then you just dispute it and you got to wait. So likely I'm going to end up having to wait a month. That's what happened over on DSP Throwback for Final Fantasy 13. The first few videos all got claimed. Get this. They matched those to actual early gameplay reveals for the game on YouTube from like 14 years ago, claiming that my video ripped off Square Enix's videos. No, it didn't. I'm playing the real game. So I had to dispute it, and it took about a month. And after a month, they released the claims because there's no reaction to it. And I feel like that's what's going to happen here. Like anyone who has problems with the music of this game, they got to go through that stupid dispute process, and it takes about a month. And then after a month, they'll release the dispute, and then you'll be fine. Really dumb. That's just the problem with YouTube's system. It's just not sufficient. It just auto-claims so much shit that's not true, you know? Are we doing anything special on April 6th? It's like I said, we're probably doing a birthday marathon, like I usually do. And this year I might actually do it on my real birthday because I'll be able to be here for it, and it's on a weekend this year. So, yeah, it's funny because when you dispute a claim like that on YouTube, it says something like, "Oh, you should have a response within 14 business days, or the claim is released," and then it still takes a month. It makes no sense. It says 14 days, and then it takes a month anyway. No idea. All right, guys, any last-minute questions, concerns, or anything you'd like to talk about before we jump back into Final Fantasy VII? Let me know. Let's tag me in the chat. No? We're good? Everyone's using thumbs up icon. Are we good? Everyone's good? You're happy? Cool. How long will it take for Skull and Bones to be in the $10 bargain bin? Well, right now it's $25 off within 3 weeks. Probably give it another 3 weeks, it'll be another $20 off. And I give it another 3 weeks, and they'll probably give them away. So that's the track they're on, right? Grim Ripper says he's at a hard part of the game right now, but he's having a great fun with the game. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that we're going to get into a new story element today and see where it goes, because I don't know. Like I said, in the story of the game, isn't it you pass the Nidhogg serpent, or whatever it's called, the serpent of the water, and then you go to the next area, and I can't remember what the next area is. Wasn't it Fort Condor? I could be wrong. I think you show up at Fort Condor, but you don't do it yet. You pass it, and then later on you go back to it for the minigame, if I remember correctly. Am I going to play Monkey Ball later this year? I don't know. It's a new one, right? If people want to see it, maybe I would. Do I think the Resident Evil 4 remake is worth $30 USD if I played the original 5 years ago? Yes, it's really good. It's really good. It's well done. That's a great discounted price, too. Or, no, that's right, never mind. I was getting confused between Resident Evil 2 Remake. That one's on Game Pass, not 4. I'm happy that people who are saying they're further than me are here today. Please stick around, because now the spoilers are over, right? Like, I understand the first 3 days I was heavily playing this game, but now you guys are probably way ahead of me. I took 2 days away, so hopefully you guys will hang out for the Final Fantasy VII stream now that you're ahead of me and there's no more spoiler problem, right? Yes, I'm going to be playing Rise of the Ronin. I'm interested in it. All right, guys, I think it's time to wrap it up. Thank you all. Great show today. Hope you enjoyed. I'm excited for more Final Fantasy VII. I'm excited for more Tekken. I think today's going to be a great streaming day. So I thank you all for hanging out with me. And hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow for the final streaming day of the week. All right, thank you all. Have a good day. See you then.